Happy National Championship Monday to all who celebrate. Speaking of trophies, is Maryland men's lacrosse back in the hunt for one? And is undefeated women's lacrosse, now with the shiny number 1 next to its name, now becomes the Hunted? All that and more on the first April edition of The Left Bench.
Welcome to the Left Bench, presented by Terrapin Sports Central. He's Ben Geffner. I'm Ryan Martin. Thank you for ending your Monday live with us. Ben, a few weeks ago, it seemed like Maryland men's lacrosse couldn't buy a win, but Saturday night, the Terps had the best moment of their season from an unlikely source.
Yeah, Ryan, remember the name Riley Reese? Maryland women's lacrosse coach Kathy Reese's oldest son plays for the men's team and celebrated his senior day in style Saturday by nailing his first career goal at the perfect time against number 9 Ohio State.
The back-to-back runner-ups looked to go above 500 for the first time this season Saturday, hosting number 9 Ohio State. It's been that kind of year for the number 10 Terps, but you couldn't tell in this top 10 matchup. Terps came out firing on a senior night to remember. They go up 4-0 early, but the Buckeyes bounce back from the 4-0 deficit, scoring 5 of the next 7 goals. Then, here's the game. Eric Spanos brings it up for Maryland, finds a long pull in Riley Reese, and finds that last goal in overtime. Pass to Reese inside, and let's go to Bentley's. An 8-7 overtime win. Coach Tillman, it took the whole team to get this one done, huh?
I love that everybody kind of chipped in. I think when we're at our best, that's kind of the formula is everybody's pitching in. I can't really key on one guy. I don't really think we're built that way consistently. So love seeing it. Love everybody getting involved. But
Now two straight wins for the Red Hot Terps, and Riley Reese just played hero in their latest. We're now joined by Maryland senior defender Riley. Appreciate you spending some time with us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Riley, let's go back to that big moment this past weekend on Saturday. Overtime, you find yourself at the corner of the crease. You get your game-winning goal, the first goal of your career on senior day. Walk me through that play.
Yeah, I mean, the ball got thrown up towards the midline. Eric and our attackman did a great job of getting the ball over, so it was an over and back call. They picked it up, whistle ready, kind of just sprinted the spot, so we've practiced all season, all 4 years that I've been here, kind of getting to that pipe. And somebody flew upfield, so I kind of found myself more open than I was expecting to be, honestly. And Eric made a great pass and found me right in the crease, and the only role I had to do was put it in the back of the net, and gladly I made that happen.
Riley, a great job last weekend. Of course, wanted to ask about your leadership role with the team. One thing I've learned is to never count out John Tillman, right? What was kind of going through your mind during that final overtime sequence on Saturday, and how, if at all, has Tillman prepared you guys for situations like those in practice?
Yeah, I mean, we go over situational-based stuff all the time in practice, Monday through Friday. So our coaching staff does a great job preparing us for the unexpected. We always have to expect the unexpected at this point, especially within conference play. So, I mean, just having that moment, that's kind of we kind of pride ourselves in staying poised in the big moments, and kind of shows in both overtime games that we've been in. And I think everybody's done a great job of kind of staying calm in those moments.
Riley, you mentioned staying calm. In the beginning of the season that didn't go your way, you guys are back over 500, got a couple big games to go, and that Big Ten title still easily in the picture. How can a win like this turn that season around and get you guys back to Memorial Day weekend that you're so used to being in?
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing our team has done a great job is we never lost hope. I mean, we struggled early, but games that very winnable in all of our eyes, and we wanted to pull those out and put them in the win column, but we've learned from it and definitely became better from it. And I think just keeping that in the back of our mind, everybody has full confidence that we'll be back on Memorial Day weekend, but it starts with winning the next one. Every game is a big game at this point in our season, so just going 1-0 every week is the main goal.
Riley, you've seen this group grow over the last few years. Now a senior, how much of a leadership role have you embraced this season, and how cool has it been to see this roster evolve?
Yeah, I mean, seeing guys in my class, especially being here for 4 years, seeing people grow, not only as players, but also as human beings, has been very special. And now I get to share it with my younger brother, too, who's on the team, and other guys who have transferred in, who I've known for a little bit over time. Just being able to see people grow on and off the field has been definitely special. And I know it's something our coaching staff strives to be, not only the best on the field, but best off the field as well. So just emphasizing stuff like that throughout people's process here has been honestly very special.
It's that famed Maryland lacrosse quote, right? Be the best that John Tillman always says about. Now after his senior day and game-winning overtime goal, it's Maryland senior Riley Reese. Riley, best of luck hosting Rutgers this weekend and for the rest of the season.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much, Riley. Well, that was fun, but let's stay on the turf now for some more lacrosse talk. TSC's Brendan Russell joins us from Studio B with a postseason outlook.
Brendan, what you got for us?
Thanks, guys. The last time we checked in on Terps lacrosse, they were settled in on the struggle bus. The Terps were preseason number 1, and they followed up with 2 losses and then a 3rd loss to the number 1 team in the country, Notre Dame. I predicted that the loss to the Fighting Irish might mark the end of the Terps' playoff hopes, but as things were looking bleak. And for the next 2 games, the playoffs seemed like a faraway star, something they could no longer reach. Although Maryland handled Delaware, who are now 3-7 this season, before fighting for their life against unranked Virginia. The Terps squeaked that win out in triple overtime. Then, an interesting performance in Happy Valley led to a 4-goal loss to the number 9 Penn State Nittany Lions to open conference play. Now, Maryland managed to stay ranked after their 4th loss of the season, and after a comfortable win in Ann Arbor, the Terps find themselves in a must-win game this past weekend in CQ Stadium against number 9 Ohio State. As we mentioned, a game-winning goal electrified the CQ crowd on Saturday night. Are the Terps back? Going forward, the Hardshell's fate lies in their hands. They have number 13 Rutgers and number 14 Johns Hopkins coming up, and if they win out, they will absolutely be one of the 18 teams to make the postseason. If Maryland loses either game, it will be very hard to justify a 5-loss team competing for a championship. It's important to note that the Terps are now tied for first in the Big Ten standings, and Maryland's strength of schedule gives them an edge over some of the other teams with multiple losses. But the schedule can only bring them so far. The bottom line for the Terps, do not lose again. And that's easier said than done. But that's all I have for you guys today. Back to you in Studio A.
Thanks so much, Brendan. And Ben, you heard him right there. Just can't lose again, right? You got a couple of tough games, including the rivalry that's at Hopkins this year. But you take a look at what Maryland's got to do. You got the Big Ten tournament at Rutgers this year. Maryland's put itself in a position, but now can't let itself get out of its position with another loss.
No doubt. It's easier said than done, but they're one of the streakiest teams in the country right now. You can't bet against John Tillman in April or May.
Well, not every lacrosse team in town has been streaky, though, Ben. And from one lacrosse program to another, women's lacrosse also has that Midas touch. The difference? They've had it all season long. The number 1 ranked Terps, Maryland celebrated senior day by scoring a season-high 18 goals against Rutgers en route to their 13th consecutive win to start the season. Lauren LaPointe sets the tone immediately, scoring here within the first 20 seconds of play. She finishes with a team-high 4 goals, and despite Rutgers answering with a score of their own, Maryland begins a 6-goal scoring run. In the second quarter, the Terps match the trend, slotting 6 more in the cage, while goalie J.J. Soriano allows just 1 in response. It's simple. If Maryland has possession, Maryland scores. The Terps' only struggles came in the third, knowing they had to make a stand. Rutgers held brief control and scored a few of its own. But Kathy Reese's squad, one that prioritizes consistency, continues to emulate it in the 18-11 win. Coach, it's got to feel good to have another victory.
And today, we just talked about stepping on the field and taking care of business. And I thought we did a great first half. They beat us in the second half. We had some missed opportunities everywhere. We didn't shoot particularly well. They beat us in the draw. Defensively, we just had a couple of mental errors that caused goals. And so, all in all, great day.
Next up, the Terps have an even bigger challenge this week as Northwestern rolls into town looking to upset number 1 Maryland.
Yeah, Ryan, TSC's Jonah Jansavage is live from CQ Stadium. Jonah, what will it take for the Terps to stay undefeated the rest of the way?
Yeah, Coach Kathy Reese isn't new. She's had multiple undefeated seasons, but for her players this year is uncharted territory. Maryland is sitting at 13-0, number 1 in the nation. But for Coach Kathy Reese, she is stressed to take it for 1 game at a time. Now, Northwestern is a formidable foe for the Terps. Northwestern is ranked number 6 at a 9-3 record. In their most recent outing, they blasted USC 11-5 this past weekend. Northwestern is led by superstar Madison Taylor. In 2025, Taylor broke the NCAA record for most goals in a season with 105. She's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers out there. So far this year, she has 58 goals and will be the main focus of the Maryland defense. But for the Terps, it's about the three-headed monster, not just one player. It's about Lauren LaPointe. It's about Corey Edmonds, Keely Block. And the trio has combined for 110 goals on the season already. And they can score in numerous ways, in transition, in their offensive sets, or after a timeout. Maryland has been unstoppable. But this game will come down to the defense for the Terps. J.J. Suriano's save percentage of .530 is number 3 in the land. Going up against Madison Taylor will put a premium on each save Suriano can make in goal and may ultimately decide the game. Now, Northwestern and Maryland are pretty familiar with each other. Terps fans, you may want to close your eyes. Last time these programs met was the Big Ten title game just last year. It started out back and forth. Maryland had the early lead, but Northwestern kept chipping away. And then it was Addie Foster who hit the game-winning goal with just 15 seconds left in the Big Ten title game, winning it for Northwestern 8-7. And it was heartbreak at the Plex for the Terps. Now, that game is on the mind for Terps players and coaches, but in order for Maryland to win this, it's going to be about execution, not revenge. Back to you guys.
Thanks so much, Jonah. Yeah, Ben, you heard right there from Jonah. It's going to be a big test, if not the biggest test of the season for undefeated Maryland. They're going up against the back-to-back NCAA runner-ups in Northwestern.
Going to be tough. Got some more lax talk on the other side, but stay with us. We'll also talk the transfer portal, baseball struggles, crown some awards, and yep, you guessed it, play some locks or knocks. Stay with us.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies. Because when people are fed, futures are nourished. Everyone deserves to live a full life. And with your help, together we can end hunger. Join the movement at feedingamerica.org/act now.
Happy Monday. Welcome back to the Left Bench presented by Terrapin Sports Central. He's Ben Geffner. I'm Ryan Martin. We're both happy to be here for you. BG, Maryland men's and women's basketball seasons both ended last month, and since the clock hit triple zeros, fans have been looking forward to the transfer portal that opens this week.
Yeah, no doubt, Ryan. It's all about optimism. Our season ends and immediately another one begins in portal season, which might look a little different this spring. It's opening day of the NCAA women's basketball transfer window and Portal E for men's basketball. The race to reload and build rosters begins for hundreds of coaches nationwide, but also raises questions of what modern student-athlete eligibility should look like.
For a little bit more, TSC senior producer Ben Wolf has a little bit extra on a new executive order aimed at regulating college sports. Ben?
Guys, college athletics have honestly been like the Wild West for about 5 years now, and this new executive order signed by President Donald Trump aims to control college sports. Under this order, athletes would face stricter limits on both how long they can play in college and how often they can transfer, taking away the free agency style college sports have now. An athlete will have a 5-year eligibility cap that contains one transfer without penalty and will be granted an additional transfer option after earning a degree. Now, to the financial side of the order, it aims to control how much money schools can spend on their rosters to help protect women's and non-revenue Olympic sport programs. The order prohibits schools from cutting scholarships or opportunities for non-revenue drawing sports. It is also calling for a national registry of agents to be created, monitoring representation and reducing exploitation in the NIL marketplace. And the people who will be overseeing this are the federal agencies like the Department of Education, the Federal Trade Commission, and the Department of Justice will make sure the schools are following these new rules. If schools do not comply, they are at risk of losing federal funding. NCAA President Charlie Baker said parts of the order are consistent with what they've already been discussing, but emphasized they still need Congress to pass a law to make anything permanent. Legal concerns also surround the order, as experts say it may be unconstitutional or unenforceable. The rules under the order are expected to take effect on August 1st, aligning with the start of a new college sports season and giving schools time to adjust, while also leaving room for expected legal challenges. Reporting live from the newsroom, Ben Wolf, TSC. Back to you guys.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ben. And Ryan, it's so interesting to see the current model of college athletics, but also what the modern student athlete looks like in America today.
It's a crazy modern student athlete experience, right? It feels like every single offseason's free agency. I like those rules and regulations being proposed right now. The 5 years, the extra year for a grad transfer, and then encouraging students to actually get their degrees at a university. It could all play out well if that goes in, as it looks like it will.
No doubt. Well, after a 10th place showing at the Big Ten Championships, Maryland Gymnastics entered Friday's NCAA opener looking to prove it belonged against the nation's best. But its impressive 19-6 season came to an end. The Terps post a 195.775 at the Lexington Regional. Good for third place over NC State, but not enough for a top 2 bid to advance, falling behind Arkansas and Missouri. Maddie Komrowski leads Maryland's efforts on beam, joining Megan Bingham en route to impressive marks. But the Terps can't make up the difference in their final rotation of the season. The uneven bars marks the end of their postseason run.
From the balance beam to Maryland baseball, where the Dirty Terps went down to Columbus for a 3-game series. After a frustrating Friday, an offensive onslaught Saturday, and a lopsided Sunday, Maryland baseball dropped all 3 games in the Buckeye State. The Terps continue to struggle in conference play, starting with a 10-8 loss on Saturday. Maryland down 10 in this one after 7 innings, but a 5 spot in the 8th puts the Terps in striking range entering the 9th. The Terps can't get it done, and a day later, Maryland suffers another 2-run loss on Saturday. In a 14-12 series-clinching win for the Buckeyes, Maryland and Ohio State combined for 33 hits and 11 home runs. Sunday was less dramatic, a 7-0 Buckeye shutout to sweep the weekend. Head coach Matt Swope, it feels like complimentary baseball from here on out will define this Maryland season.
Yeah, we just got to play more consistent. Obviously, it's no secret. I think we're 3-14 in the last 17 games after starting 10-5. It's just getting out of this rut. I'm going to keep saying it. I believe in the team. I think we're better than the record shows.
From baseball to softball, the struggles are consistent. The Terps traveled to State College over the weekend for a rocky 3-game series sweep loss, 2 of which came in mercy rule fashion. The Terps managed just 9 combined runs across Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, a number Penn State eclipses in Game 1 alone. The Nittany Lions pour in 8 30-inning runs on Friday to provide the condensed 13-5 5-inning finish, then score 13 4th-inning runs on Saturday for some more deja vu in a 16-4 Terps loss. The latter half of Saturday's doubleheader is a quiet one. Just 2 combined runs scored, both from Penn State, as Maryland's offense hits 4 for 23 to cap its 9th straight loss.
Tough sledding there for Maryland softball, but we're not done here. Don't go anywhere because we've still got the best part of our show coming up for you.
When we return, we'll have our Terp of the Week top 5 plays and introduce you to a new guest on Locks or Knocks. Stay with us.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies. Because when people are fed, futures are nourished. Everyone deserves to live a full life. And with your help, together we can end hunger. Join the movement at feedingamerica.org/act now.
Welcome back to Left Bench, brought to you by Terrapin Sports Central. Ryan, it's always fun when the C Block rolls around, especially being able to reflect on the prior month.
Yeah, we got a little bit of March Madness here with Maryland Athletics. It was a fun March we just finished up, and to look back at the month we just had, here's the best of March.
This weekend was a crazy weekend for Maryland Athletics.
So you're seeing why this team is ranked number 3 in the country.
And so we talked about it in the middle of the game, like, hey, we're not meeting that standard. We're not throwing the first punch from an energy standpoint. So let's get into that so then we're able to build off of that within the game.
Let's go.
Let's go, Alex Flom.
Scott
Oh my
yeah, we should have got that.
gosh.
Ever since I was little, I always dreamed of going to Maryland. I remember going to all the lacrosse games right here when I was little with my mom and my little sister.
Thanks, Ryan. Get out of there. Cover your nose while you walk by, because I lived through Northwest freshman year and it smelled. Number 1, we have Colin Metcalf. To quote my favorite Tim Robinson skit, "Give me that. That looks really good. That ball looks really good."
I want to adapt and play that way.
Adapt and play that way.
I mean, play that way.
You covered the team for 2 years. I covered the team for 1, so you might have a better idea. Is that Brenda speak?
Maryland baseball came into its final March series sitting at 1-5 in conference play. Punch back, and I'm glad we answered there, but we can't go back and give up another big inning.
Kathy Reese, coach, thank you so much for joining.
And the only thing that we can control is us and our game and what we do and the effort we give when we step on the field.
Such a sports nerd that I think I could tell just off the score bug alone. And shout out to Gibson Hurt.
Welcome to the Left Bench in Focus, presented by Terrapin Sports Central. I'm Rachel Lawrence, here with Owen Korzak for our first time behind the desk.
Big issue is just the construction of the roster. I think Buzz and his staff didn't do the best job putting together pieces that really fit in a cohesive way.
You are an incoming journalism major here.
Yes.
So could we potentially see you sitting in these chairs one day?
Of course. That's something I always wanted to do. I always wanted to, run a show, be on TV, be that type of guy, and that's something I've always looked forward to doing. We're just chasing greatness for real.
We had an Olympian on the program. I don't know how you top that one, Ryan.
Because Jackson Waltman is right there. It's always fun to welcome in a new member. And we do so here, Ben, for a game of Locks or Knocks.
No doubt. Let's go over the rules. We're joined, of course, by Jackson Waltman. Jackson, thanks so much for being with us.
Of course, guys. Happy to make my debut and get ready to go.
Of course. Now, here's how it's done. Essentially, we're going to be alternating, sharing hot takes, 2 minutes each to debate the opinion, and agreeing with the take is a lock, or disagreeing with the take is a knock.
Gotten feisty before. We'll see what Jackson brings for this final episode and final sitting of Locks or Knocks here for the 25-26 school year. Ben, I know you got a spicy one to start.
Oh, no doubt. I'll get us started here. My lock or knock number 1, my take is Maryland women's lacrosse is currently 13-0. We already mentioned them, but the Terps will stay undefeated en route to their 15th NCAA championship. In other words, guys, they'll run the table and have a perfect season.
Yeah, Ben, I'll start with this one here. So as we go over everything, we got our lock and our knock right here. So you got our lock if you want to lock it, and then you go the other way, you got your knock. I'm going to leave this one a knock here for Maryland women's lacrosse. Listen, Ben, I like the take. I think Maryland women's lacrosse is playing great right now. We've talked so much, though, about this game Thursday, and I got to see a win against Northwestern before I can say Maryland's going to run the table, go undefeated in a national championship. Northwestern has played in each of the last 2 championships. Yes, they've lost in 2024 and 2025, but Northwestern, I think, is the best on Maryland's schedule so far. The Wildcats are also going to host Final Four this year over in Evanston, so we'll see what happens. I want to see what happens Thursday before I can say Maryland goes undefeated.
That's valid. What about you, Jackson?
Yeah, Ben, I know you and I don't agree a lot on a lot of our sports takes, but I'm going to lock this one in right here. I'm buying all the stock on Kathy Reese's squad. They are playing some of the best lacrosse in the country right now.
Yes.
You got to love riding the undefeated streak. You just see the way that her team has found a way to win games this season. Corey Edmondson has had a phenomenal season. Lauren LaPointe has been fantastic. I think come April, we're going to have a new national champion, and that's going to be Kathy Reese.
I completely agree. 11 is the magic number, guys. 11 to run the table. 3 regular season games left, already 13 wins. I feel like they're in a class of their own. They're now the hunted, as we mentioned in the open. They're the #1 team in the country. Why not ride that momentum all the way to the end?
Yeah, guys, well, as my guest take here on Locks and Knocks, I'm going to stick with some lacrosse, and I'm going to take it over to the men's side. I know we just had Riley Reese on the show, but it's been a turbulent year for Maryland men's lacrosse, and I'm going to say that John Tillman has peaked as the Terps head coach. Now, I'm not saying success isn't in the future for this program, but you see teams like Notre Dame, Virginia, Richmond having a great year this year. I don't know if Maryland's going to be the yearly powerhouse that they've usually been. What do you guys think?
I'm knocking this one, unfortunately. Let's put up the X really quick. There we go. There's the X. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to knock this one. Age and success is not mutually exclusive. We've seen this before in different sports. Phil Jackson in the NBA, the second time with the Lakers, he hadn't won a chip from 2002 to 2009. Then that 7-year period, he won one in 2009, won another one in 2010. That renaissance is exactly what we're going to see from John Tillman. I think he's entering his second prime, a renaissance in College Park. Why not?
This guy's a LeBron James fan, thinks everyone's got 2 primes. I'm going to agree with Jackson here. I'm going to lock this one. I think one of the biggest things when you talk about John Tillman, what's the peak, right? John Tillman's won 2 national championships, the last coming in 2022 in an undefeated year for Maryland men's lacrosse. Guys, obviously the Terps didn't have the start to the year they wanted to. I see so much parity right now, though, in men's lacrosse that I don't see Maryland, running the table and getting back to Championship Monday like they have in the last 2 seasons. I don't see the Terps getting there, and I do think that it's going to be John Tillman who one day retires with those 2 national championships. Now it's time for my take. Excited to talk to you about this one. We already did a lot of men's lacrosse, women's lacrosse. My lock or knock is that opening day for Maryland women's basketball coming this fall. Audie Crooks out of Iowa State, who's in the transfer portal right now, averaged the 2nd most points per game in women's basketball last season. She goes from Iowa State to Maryland. The Terps make the biggest splash that they can, getting the #2 scorer in the portal from last season. Guys, Maryland's got, I think, a good amount of financial capital with NIL. You saw them just lose Kayleen Smichael, Izzy Menme, Ozzy Mamadou in the portal, as well as Kendall Walker and a couple of other reserve pieces. Terps are in a position both with the shots that are available, I think the money available NIL-wise. I could see Audie Crooks being a Terp at this time next season. That's going to be a huge news. You think about Quincy Wilson, who we just saw in the Best of March. She's here. Malik Washington's here. Baba Oladotun's here. Audie Crooks will share the Xfinity Center gym with both of them.
Yeah, Ryan, as awesome as I think that would be and as exciting as it probably would be for Maryland women's basketball fans, I'm going to have to knock this one right here. I mean, you just mentioned it, the amount of transfers that Maryland has lost this season. Kendall Walker, Izzy Ozzy Mamadou, Kayleen Smichael. I think the only thing on Brenda Freese's mind right now is fielding a roster for next season, let alone and get out probably the biggest fish in the sea in terms of the transfer portal. And Audie Crooks, you talk about her, she's going to be commanding a large check from Maryland Athletics, and we've seen the program be spotty at times. I just don't think it's going to be at the top of the list and feasible for Brent Freese.
My biggest thing is you look at who Maryland Athletics donors are giving their money to right now. I don't think they're looking to put it into Mike Loxley's pockets in football, not Buzz Williams' pockets after a year with men's basketball. You trust Brenda Freese for the 2 decades that she's been here. I think she's got the money to do it, and you got to make a splash because, as we both agree on, they've lost so many pieces.
But what's her pitch then? How do you go to Audie Crooks and say, if you don't have a roster right now, look, Addie Mack had a great season.
She is the roster. You give her the whole checkbook and say, all right, we'll field everything else. I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
Guys, I'm kind of split. I see both sides, but I'm going to kind of hover in the middle here. You see the lock, you see the nod.
What are we doing? Come on.
I'm going to cautiously lock this one in. I see it. The question is, are there enough like Benjamins to match it? I'm just not sure. My sources are telling me she's going to command between $500,000 and $1.5 million. If you're Jim Smith, do you want to give that kind of money? Do you want to centralize it to women's basketball? Why not balance it between men's football and women's basketball? But I see both of your points.
Benjamin Geffner has to talk about the Benjamins, of course, and get a reference to it. But
pun intended.
Anyways, guys, a fun episode of Locks or Knocks. I got to disagree with some of your takes there for sure, but always fun. And Jackson, great having you on.
Oh, happy to be here, guys.
Now let's pivot to handing out some postseason awards, especially honors. It's awards time, and who else to give Terp of the Week honors to than Big Ten's reigning Offensive Player of the Week. For women's lacrosse, it's Lauren LaPointe. 13-0 Terps have had a dream season, and LaPointe's been at the helm of it. The junior attacker, after not making a single start in each of her first 2 seasons, has had a seamless transition into a full-time role in 2026. Saturday proved why yet again. LaPointe was on point against Rutgers, pouring in a team-high 4 goals on her 4 attempts on goal. Talk about efficiency. It's her 3rd consecutive game with 4 or more goals. Congrats to Lauren LaPointe on being named our Terp of the Week.
It's time for one of our favorite awards to give out every Monday. Our Pro Terp of the Week usually highlights a Maryland grad starring in the NFL, WNBA, maybe MLB. But today, we dig a little deeper and congratulate a Terp who's playing tremendously in the United Football League. Former Terp safety Jordan Mosley has been balling, and you can see on this play, ball hawking for the St. Louis Battlehawks of the UFL. It's earned him our Pro Terp of the Week. Mosley, who led Maryland in tackles as a senior in 2021, had this interception against the DC Defenders last week. Mosley paired that takeaway with 6 solo tackles and 9 overall tackles against the Defenders to claim the UFL's Week 1 Defensive Player of the Week. Give me that! Mosley earned some hardware, and he'll get ours as well. Congrats to the Battlehawk on being named our Pro Terp of the Week.
It's top 5 plays time. Ryan, get us started.
One last time this semester, my friend. We'll start with Senior Day with Maryland Women's Lacrosse. Jordan Lipkin on her senior day scores this goal flying everywhere. She gets it done, and the Terps do too in an 18-11 win.
Now, Jaylee Williams, her first triple as a Terp, why not let it fly? It was in a losing effort as all of their 3 games were this weekend, but why not highlight some bright spots? That one way down the left field line, bobbled in the outfield, and you see it, her first of the season, added to the count, first of many for Jaylee.
I'm heading back to CQ Stadium for play number 3, Ben. How about Keely Block? It's also her senior day. She loops it up and in, bottom right corner. Let's slow it down, then slow it down even more. Block, one of the dozen seniors honored as Maryland goes to 13-0.
Number 2 time, let's go back to the diamond. It's Ryan Costello, a grand slam on Saturday, his 2nd of the season. That ties him for the Big Ten lead with 12 home runs, bobbled over the wall. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night for Ryan Costello.
And number 1, you knew what it had to be. Our guest on the show this week, overtime game winner on senior day. Can you write a movie about this already? Riley Reese wins it over Ohio State, gets the feed bottom right corner, and you know this Maryland men's lacrosse team is gonna celebrate this top 10 win. Reese's first goal in his career as a senior. The Terps get it done against the Buckeyes. Let's watch it one more time. Slow it down. They find the lung pole, and Reese starts the celebration. And we talked to him. It would really be a turnaround for Maryland. But right now, you got to love that moment. Back at home on senior day, had a little bit of everything. Special thanks again to Riley Reese for joining us on this episode. And special congratulations after that win.
Yeah, no doubt. It's a Hollywood ending, but can they make the sequel? Can they make the trequel? We'll find out.
The trequel's never that good anyways, though. We'll see what happens. And that does it this evening. Make sure to follow all of our coverage on Instagram, X, YouTube, and online at terrapinsportscentral.com.
For the final time this school year, we're saying so long until next time from Studio A.